to a new video. This is Rian from Moralis, and today we're going to be building this beautiful login page using NextJS, React, and Moralis. And I'm going to show you how simple it is using Flexbox, and then later using React Moralis SDK to then implement this login feature with full error implementation. So for example, if I say cancel, it'll cancel it. It'll show you the exact error that happened. Just if you want to build a real dev level project and you need a login page, you could follow this tutorial and build a beautiful login page. I'll show you how to center using Flexbox and everything of that sorts. So for example, now that if I click sign in, it'll sign me in. There's nothing built on this side, but it's just as easy to build it on this side if you understand the Flexbox principles that I'm going to teach you today. Okay, so let's start. First things first, what we want to do is we want to open a terminal, and I already had this server open, so I'm going to close it. I'm going to cd out one just to get into my projects directory. This is where I hold all my projects. You can go into any directory that you want. We're going to be using NextJS for this build. So if you don't have NextJS, just go to the docs and open it. The docs will be linked in the description. But it's really simple. You need the latest version of Node to do this. So, and if you have other projects on a different version of Node, just install Nevermind. That's also very simple, and Nevermind allows you to change between your Node versions. I currently actually have Nevermind running. So if I go Nevermind, it shows you all of this. But Nevermind is an awesome tool. It'll save you a lot of time if you have multiple projects running on different things. Okay, so let's get into the build. First, I'm in my projects directory. I'm going to run this command npx create next app. So for those React people, npx create React app is the one used to create a React app. To create a next app, all you need to do is npx create next app. I'm doing latest just to get the latest version of next. Then from there, we're going to click OK, and it's going to ask us what's the name of your app. I'm going to say demo. I'm going to say sign in page. Sign in page. Okay, so now just let it create. We'll wait, have some awkward silence. Okay, oh no, there's more. And while you guys are waiting, just go down, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. It helps you more than you think. And if Moralis has helped you in any way, just hit it. It's free and it helps both of us. So we're going to say cd sign in page. I spelled sign wrong. Sign in page. Now if I go npm run dev, this is to run the development environment. Let's refresh this. So now we have a clean slate. Okay, I'm going to go into my VS Code. I'm going to open this in here. Let me bring this down. Projects, sign in page, open. Perfect. So this is the directory NextJS just made for us. It's called sign in page. That's what we called our file. Everything's inside of this is our next app. Okay. NextJS is built. How NextJS works is there's a public is for public icons, but pages is where we hold all the pages. So index.js is one route. If I make another page called login.js, this is going to be like, I don't know why I'm diving into this, but it's worth knowing for the newer React people or newer Next.js people. For example, if I make a login page and I do, this is a shortcut, and I say hello login, okay, and I save it. Now if I go to /login, we have hello login. So do you see how we didn't have to create any routes or anything? NextJS has this built in, and for the React people or the older people, they know how hard it is or how much extra work it is to actually build a router system in React. NextJS has this built in, and it's very powerful. This is one of the many reasons Next is better than just good old React. So we're gonna delete this because we don't need this for the project that we're building. As you can see, so if I go back to login, we have all this stuff that comes with pre-built Next. We don't really need this. This is where we're gonna hold our login that I showed you. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here. I'm just gonna remove all of this. Okay. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this because we don't really care about this. And then inside of styles, I'm gonna add a margin of 0 pixels. Sometimes, I don't know why they have it, but sometimes we add a margin for no reason. In React, this is like a habit I got from React because React added a margin on a lot of components out of the box, which is weird. So I could just get in the habit of applying a margin 0 pixels to everything. And then when we do actually need to apply a margin, when we do apply it, it'll get overridden because this is a base class. Okay, so now we have a clean slate to work on. If you guys remember, how our project was built was we had a login. And then once we logged in, there was another route that we showed or another component that we showed that was your sign out and whatnot. So to do that, I'm gonna come into here. I'm gonna create another folder called components. Anything that's not a page should be in a different file called components because we don't want to mix it up. So I'm just gonna bring this out to the outside, and then in here I'm gonna create another component. I'm gonna call it login. Okay, so login.js. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this command, rfce. So this is a React, it's like another React library, or it's called a React, I think it's called RFC, it's the library's name, but it just allows you to do these quick React functions. But if you don't have it, you just copy function, login, return div, whatever, it's common sense. And then in here for index.js, what we want to do is we just want to return login for now. We just want to return our login component. Okay, as simple as that. So now if I go into here and I say p login component, or if I just do login, you can see that it says login there. Perfect. So if we all got to here, just pause the video if you're not here yet and get to here. And once you're there, click it back. And then we can continue from there. Okay, so if you guys remember how our thing was made or how our login page was made, was that we had a blue background. Then inside of here, we had a little card. And inside of that card, we had a logo and then sign in with Moralis button. To do that, what we're first gonna do is we're gonna go into style sheets, into our styles. And in here, we're gonna make another style library. We're gonna call it login.module.css. In NextJS, any smaller library style sheet has this abbreviation called module. This tells Next that when you import it into some type of object. I'll show it to you how it comes out, and then from there you can use it. This is the pattern to follow when applying styles in Next. Okay, so now that it's there, what we can do is we can actually move this to one side, and we can close this. And we want to import the style sheet. So we're going to say import styles. We're going to call this, what we import from here, we're going to call it styles from /styles / login.module.css. Login.module.css. Okay, I'm going to save. And for example, now if I come into here, I'm going to might as well add my background color. So if I say login container, so it's container, I'm going to say, give me a background color of this. I already have this copied, so I'm just going to copy it in. Okay. So then in here, I'm going to say class name is equal to styles.login container. Cool. If I save this, oh, I spelled it wrong. Container. Okay, so we had this background. Now we have this background, but the problem is this is these containers are dynamic. They out of the box don't take up as much space as they can. In this case, we want to take up as much space. We want to take up the whole width, the whole height and width. By default, it already takes up the whole width. So all we need to do is actually take up the whole height. And to do that, we say height is equal to 100 viewport height. So boom. Then from there, I'm gonna say, then if you guys remember, so the first part is done. The next part we had was that we wanted to add a little card in here, which then contains all our like logo, sign in, if you want to add like an email box, whatever, but it's all going to be in that card. And to do that, we're going to have another thing. We're going to have another div. We're going to call it, let's close this div before I forget. And this is going to be called login card. Okay. So equals styles dot login login card. Okay. And then in here, I'm going to say dot login card. And let's just give this a background color of white. Let's give this a width. We want this to be a set width just because height, I'm going to give it a height to 250 pixels. I'm going to give it a border radius. Actually, this is fine for now. So if I save it and I save this, that's our little card. Next, we want to style this in the middle. And this is the easiest way to put something in the middle. Just follow this pattern. First, we're going to say, give me a display of grid. Okay, this is CSS grid. If you, it's worth learning for the newer CSS guys. And if you're older, you don't know it, you need to know it. Okay, next we're going to say, since it's a grid, it has these properties now. It has a line item center and it has justify content center. Boom, centered. How easy was that? All right, now this looks good, but the newer apps and stuff like that, we have rounded corners. It's just the new way of web dev. It's just what looks nice nowadays. So if I do border radius and 40 pixels, and now we have rounded corners. And then for that, that's good for now. All right, next, so now we have our base login page. All we have to do is add our elements in here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add our logo, okay? And to do that, inside of here, first we want to create another folder just to follow best practices called images. Okay, inside of images, I'm gonna put in the Moralis logo because Moralis is the best company alive. The images, I'm just gonna import it. You can do whatever icon that you want. So now that it's imported, I'm gonna go into import. First, I want to import image from Next. So image is so NextJS has these built-in, I want to say, components that they use to speed up load times of apps. So if you use image from NextJS, it'll convert it into like a faster, more so it'll convert it into a faster loaded image. So like in websites, I'm getting off topic now, but it's worth knowing this. In websites, images and videos and stuff like that, those take the longest. So if your website is slow to load, a lot of the times it's your images. If you're getting your images from an outside source or like a source tag that uses a URL, stuff like that, that makes the load times longer. So this next images or images tags helps reduce that loading time. If you use it, it'll add its own optimization, and it's just worth using just to easily increase your load times or decrease your load times. You don't want to increase it. Okay, so now that we import it, we now want to import the icon or the icon that we just put in. So we're going to import icon from /images/ Moralis favicon.svg was the name. So I'm going to say Moralis favicon.svg. And then inside of here, we're going to make another div to hold the image. I'm going to put in image. I'm going to say source is equal to icon. I'm going to say width 100. I'm going to say give me a height 100. This is 100 pixels. So if you want to make it bigger, you can change that. So boom, now we have the image in here loaded. Okay, now from here, what we want to do is we want to style this into the middle. Okay, and to do that, we're going to be using what's called display flex. And display flex, this is called flexbox if you guys want to learn more about this. But display flex has two main things. It has display of a flex of a row and a display of flex of column. Flex row says everything that's in this div, so in login card, force it into a row. So the next item that I put into here is gonna be right beside. So if I give you an example, so if I say flex direction row here, and then I make another image, or I just copy this. You see how that's because this is too big. But let's say I do what's good with 50. Don't want to make it look bad, but it's probably gonna look a little. Oh, sorry. 1 second. So everything inside of here. So if I remove these divs, you see how that's forced into a row? So if I add more, they'll all be forced into a row. Okay? You see that? Does that make sense? So that's what flex row does. If I make this a flex of a column, they're all every item inside of this login card will now be one column, one row each. Does that make sense? And if you understand this concept, so by doing flex, display flex and flex direction of column, you can add a lot of more things. You can say these come with like other styling properties, like you can say align item start, align item center, justify content center, just to easily build these huge pages, which are basically like all these big pages that you see with like a thing on the right, like a header where something's on the right and something's on the left, and there's like a box with a box inside that's like centered. Those are all just flex boxes, different layouts of flex boxes built up. So if you look at a page with just flex boxes, you can really build huge pages just by dividing into smaller flex boxes. Okay. So for this example, we want a flex box of column just because we want login and then sign in at the bottom. So once we add that, we can also remove this. We can add 100 back to this, and now it's centered. Let me save. Cool. And this is centered because column, flex direction column automatically centers anything that's inside of it. Row does not, but column does. Okay. Okay. So now from here, what we want to do is we want to add our styling for our sign in. Okay. So in here, I'm going to put a button. I'm going to say login with Moralis. Okay. So that's the button that we just put. Am I missing something? Yes, I am. There we go. It was outside because it wasn't in this login card. Okay. From here, we want to create our sign-in container. So we want, like, as nice as this looks up here, I would rather it be a little down and use the space that we have. And we want to calculate the space dynamically so that if we change, for example, the size of this width and the height, this should change dynamically, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna call this, we're gonna give this a class name of styles dot sign in container. Okay. Here dot sign. I don't know why I can't spell today. Container. There we go. Okay. In here, I want to say, give me a flex of 1. A flex of 1 basically tells Flexbox, take as much space as I possibly can. Okay. So by doing this, this is going to take all of this bottom space. Okay. Then from there, I want to say inside, let's save this just to show what I mean. Okay. It does no change for now, but now that it takes up as much space as it possibly can, I can give this another display of flex. I can say, give me a flex direction of column. I can say align items center, and then justify content center. So this is, I was showing you the power of Flexbox, how everything is a Flexbox out of a Flexbox out of a Flexbox. So what's going to happen now is that this takes up as much space as possible. By using column, we automatically center this. So for example, I don't need align item center. Oh, I do need aligns. Oh, justify content center. I don't need, sorry. And by doing flex direction column, it puts it all into a row. And then by doing align item center and justify content center, it'll align it inside of itself, which is amazing. Okay. Now from here, I want to style the button. I want to style this button. And yes, we can go into here. We can go styles dot sign in button. But let me show you another CSS trick. I can say sign in container. And since we know this is going to be the only button inside of here, I can say sign in, get me the first child that's a button. And then in here, I can say, give me a padding of 10 pixels. I want it to be fatter. So if I save this, we get this. I spelled login wrong. I can't spell today. It is not my day. Padding 10 pixels. Then I want to say, I don't like this border. Okay. I'm going to say border. What? Guess what I'm going to say? I'm going to say border, none. Boom. Border's gone. Then I'm going to say border radius. I want the border radius to be 40 pixels. The same border radius that we had up here. Okay. Then I want to say, I'm going to have the same background color that we had up here. So I'm going to say background color, that. Boom. Then I'm going to say, I want the text to be white to give it contrast. Color, white. Boom. Done. So that's our login page complete. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to combine this with Moralis's login. And to do that, we need to do a couple of things first. We're going to go back into our terminal. I'm going to close it. I'm going to install Moralis SDK for React. So to do that, you need to run the following commands. npm install Moralis. So we're going to let that install. Another bit of awkward silence. Okay, I think that's almost done. Now, so you need to install Moralis, and then you also need to install the SDK package. So that is called npm install React Moralis. So you need to install both. Okay, guys? So I just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay, so that is done. Okay, so now I can say npm run dev again, just to run it back so we don't forget. Okay, now what we're gonna do, oh yeah, sorry. We also want to go into here and we want to create ourselves a server. So we're gonna go, so if you guys don't know how to create a server yet, what you basically do is you can say create new server. You won't, because this isn't a mainnet or a testnet, you can just say create local dev chain server, put the name in, put the region that you're closest to. So I'm in Toronto, Canada man. Then I'm going to say select local, and then you just click ETH, and then you add instance. And once you do, it'll pop up here. What you want to do is you want to go into view details. You want to grab your application ID and your server URL, just copy it. So once you have that copied, what we're going to do is we're going to go into our app.js. So we have this file in in Next, that's called app.js. This is what renders your whole component. Inside of here, what we want to do is we want to add a Moralis provider. Okay, so I'm gonna copy. Actually, there's no point of copying it. We can just put the thing in. So I can say import Moralis provider from React Moralis. Okay, so save that. Let's just see if nothing's broken. Cool. What we want to do is we want to wrap the whole component. So this component is our whole app. So this renders our whole app. This is how Next renders our whole app. So what we're going to do is we're going to say return Moralis provider. I'm going to close that. Inside of here, render. So this curly braces tells React to go into like JavaScript mode. And then we're going to say render this. Moralis provider. So if I save it, it should error. Yeah, because Moralis provider takes in a couple of arguments. It takes in app ID. And the app ID, let's just go into here and copy it for you guys. You guys know what I'm going to copy. This is app ID. And then I also want to copy server URL. Server URL, just copy. It's not that complicated, or it shouldn't be. There's always the form if you guys get stuck. Now if I save, should refresh. Oh, it's giving this error because basically what was happening was return like this. The return is getting called, but nothing's being returned. So basically what we want to do is we want to say return curly circle brackets, wrap this, and now there you go. Okay, now we want to implement user authentication. To do that, we're going to go into our login and we're going to import a couple of things. We're going to import one thing, and then from that we're going to build everything else. We're going to say import use Moralis from React Moralis. Okay, this is a hook. Use Moralis is a hook, so we can destructure it. So we can say const authenticate and auth error. Let me explain what this is in a second. It's equal to use Moralis. A simple way to describe what a hook is, it's basically a function that returns things. Okay, so if I open authenticate, so use Moralis, I think about use Moralis as something that returns all of these properties. Okay, so by using these curly braces, we're saying throw out everything else except for authenticate and what's the other one? Auth error. So there's authenticate and here is auth error. Does that make sense to you guys? So that's what a hook is in simple terms. Okay. And to log in, React or Moralis makes this super simple. Basically, you say onClick. What? OnClick, authenticate. And that's it. If I can spell it. So if I save this now, if I say login with Moralis, sign in, boom, done. It's not doing anything after we authenticate because we didn't put that in yet, but that's how simple it is. While we're here, so let's just finish up the login page and then go to the other page that we're making. We can just put in our error correcting or error showing piece. So we can say, if we have, so by default, so let me show you the auth error object. By default, auth error is null. But if there is an error, auth error turns into this object. And this auth error, so if you look at what auth error is, it's an interface which extends another interface called error, okay? And error has like name, message, and it might have stack. And auth error has all those properties plus code. So if I open this as code, okay? So it's everything inside of error plus the property code. Cool? So to know if we have an error, auth error needs to be non-null. So to do that, we can just say if auth error, then we can say if there is, we can use this ES6 syntax to say if there's an auth error, then for example, I can say p error. So if I do that and I go login, it's a little slow today, but if I go cancel, error, okay? To show what error we actually have, we basically destructure that. So we can say in here, we can say if auth error, give me the name, because we know that's a property, and we also know auth error dot message is another property. So now we got MetaMask signature, user denied, message signature. That's because we canceled the signature. So that means everything is working. This, as cool as this looks, it looks kind of ugly, right? So let's make this nice, guys. Let's do it. So to do this, basically we're going to come into here, we're going to say dot error. We're gonna make another style. And then I'm gonna say, give me a color. Give me a color of red, because red is bad, and errors are bad, right? So give me a color of red. Give me so let's actually style this so we can see this real time. So if I say class name, go to styles dot error. Okay. Let me save this. Boom. So let's look at this real time. We have red. Now, since everything in this is aligned, we want this to also be aligned. So we can say text align center. Okay, so now that's centered. That's the text looks a little too big, so we can easily change the font size to, let's say, 10 pixels. So now it's smaller text. So now it looks more in line with like the style and the sizing that we had. Then we can say font style to be italic, because we want this to stand out. Then we can say, I don't like the spacing that this has with this, so I can say, give me a margin of 5 pixels. Margin 5 pixels. Boom. All right, so that is our error and login complete. Perfect. Next, when a user signs in, or if they're signed in, we want to show them, we don't want to show them the login page anymore. We want to show them some type of dashboard. Maybe you change the URL, maybe you change the link. But in this case, for this simple example, we're just going to change what we show. Okay. To do this, we're going to use Moralis again. Okay. Then we're going to use Authentication. So I say const is authenticated is what we want this time. I'm just gonna say, to get IntelliSense, what you can do first, this is a life hack. You can say use Moralis. And then when you go into here, it'll actually show you what properties you have. Life hack is authenticated. Then in here, you're going to say, so we're going to do the ES6 syntax, but this time I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to say is authenticated. I'm going to say if it is authenticated, then, so if the user is authenticated, then that basically means they're signed in. So I'm going to say you are logged in. Let's do logged in. Okay. Oh, and then we have to do an else too. So this basically means if. So if this is true, then this, or else, because you always need an else with that question mark syntax. So if else, we're gonna say show me the login page. So if you're not authenticated, show me the login page. So boom, everything's working now. So now if I go log in, say sign in, you are logged in. And if you're logged in, you also want to sign out, right? So I'm going to say sign, sorry, it's called logout. And we get that beautiful IntelliSense to save me time. I'm going to go into here. Let's just put a simple button here. Sign out. And then in here, I'm going to say on click goes to logout. And like people think how, if you build this and you show this to someone who doesn't know Moralis, like, oh, this guy's a wizard. But it really is as simple as this. Now you can sign in with your wallets, and it's literally like 3 lines of code. Sign in, sign out. If you make a mistake, shows the user what mistake it was. That's how easy it is. I hope you guys learned more than just Moralis here. I hope you learned how to build beautifully dynamic web pages. So for example, because we use Flexbox, this is all, as I scale this up and down, this stays in the center. If you change the width and the height of the card, everything else is dynamically centered. So all this is beautiful. And this is what we want to preach here. We want to show you how to build not just Web3 applications, but nice looking UI specific dynamic Web3 applications. So that's me signing out. That's my first video. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for everything. Peace.